And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Socialist Type House YouTube channel. Today, it is going to be myself and Tommy the Commie here, and we are interviewing a very special person. I'm pretty sure the largest individual political creator on TikTok. Ashley Videos. I've actually checked the follower numbers between her and Nick Videos, and I'm fairly sure she is the largest. So, welcome. Welcome, Ashley. How are you?
Hi. I'm pretty good. How are you guys?
Tired.
I am also exhausted. I've been going through a move.
He's moving into a new apartment. I graduated from high school on Friday, so we're both pretty worn out. But we're very excited for this, Ashley. Thank you for agreeing to do this.
Yeah, of course.
So just a couple of basic questions to start. I would say, what made you want to get into political TikTok?
I had like an old TikTok account, and quarantine had just started, and I was so bored. And I've like kind of always been into politics, and I just all of a sudden was like, okay, I'll make a new account, and it just kind of went from there. It was kind of like an accidental thing that I didn't really mean for it to, get as big as it did. But
what made you so into politics that you made you want to start doing political content?
I think I've always just been surrounded by it because my family is pretty like politically diverse, and I've kind of been forced to go to like both sides of things since I was younger, and so I just kind of learned to like develop my own opinion since I was really young, and it just kind of developed into wanting to make a TikTok, I guess.
Sure, I feel that. So this is a question actually a lot of people in the Hype House had. What do you identify as ideologically?
I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea. I don't know enough yet.
Right. Okay. So I guess, Thomas, I speak for both of us on here. Read theory.
Okay.
That's the
best
thing.
You can just say read theory and then don't be like, just Google theory, read what comes up.
Just the word theory.
I mean, you could do that. I'm not sure it would necessarily get you the best results, but you could try it.
I mean, it's got to be, what you're interested in, sort of.
Sure.
Because there's, theory about just about anything if you want to read economics or more social issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I know, Tommy, I don't know exactly what you identify as. For me, I identify as an eco-socialist. Tommy?
I'm more like Marxist-Leninist. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually, that's true. I should speak for myself here. I don't read that much theory. I need to, though. I need to catch up with our book club. But, so
you do.
I do need to catch up with book club. But Ashley, who were you planning on supporting if you could vote in the 2020 primary, the Democratic primary? Who were you planning on supporting at the time?
Okay, the primary. I thought you were going to be like, who would you vote for now? Primary, either Yang or Bernie. They were kind of my two favorites.
I gotta say, two different choices.
I think, like with both of them, Bernie specifically, he was like the reason I got more on the left socially, in like 2016. But Yang's policies, I think, are really interesting, and like with the UBI, like it's never been utilized in the U.S. before, and it's something that could, I think is really interesting.
So, Tommy, did you want to talk about that for a sec?
Definitely two very different people.
Yeah.
Very, very different. I mean, they're still, they're both like liberals in their essence, but Yang, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I always kind of looked at him as a little bit of a quack, if I'm totally honest. I thought UBI was more so just like Keynesian economics taken to the max.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I mean, for me, I've actually been flipped on UBI. I was at first pro UBI when Yang first announced his candidacy. I thought it was very interesting solution to automation, the way he proposed it, but the way that I've kind of learned about it, I've argued against people about it, and the main point I think is that the way that our capitalist economy is set up right now, the majority of the UBI would just go to the owner class in terms of things like rent and other major expenses, and it wouldn't actually create the disposable income kind of paradise that Yang envisioned. So I think that's kind of the best argument I've heard.
I think my whole thing with the UBI originally was like Marx wrote something about if a landlord noticed an increase in the laborer's pay, the first thing you'd do is raise rent. And so,
that's true. Rent
in the back of my mind, I was just like, this is just going to effectively raise the cost of rent by $1,200 a month, or however $1,000 a month, $1,000 a month. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, without a national rent control, which Yang did not propose, a UBI to me is pretty much useless. So I guess the next question would be, are you able to vote in the upcoming election?
No.
Okay. If you were able to vote, who would you vote for?
This is such a funky kind of situation because it's like I want Trump out of office so bad, but I also don't specifically like Biden. And it's like if I were to vote for Howie, it's like where would that vote go? It's because he's unfortunately, because we live in a two-party system. It's like the third party is never going to win an election.
So here's first of all, if you don't, if you're not comfortable answering, that's okay. But do you live in a deep blue or deep red state or a swing state?
I live in Colorado, so
I think that's
pretty blue.
I think that's blue. They legalized marijuana. I think that's blue. So my whole thing is that my thing is if you live in a deep blue or deep red state, first of all, you should watch Crazy Beard and Kristen's debate with Shashank and his friend on this, because I don't know how I feel about this, because on one hand, I feel like if you live in a deep blue or deep red state, vote for who you want, because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Secondly, if a Green Party does get 5% or more, they actually get more funding. And my third thing is also, as long as the two-party system is kind of keeps on going, like there's never going to be any chance for like real reform.
Yeah.
So that's.
Did we just? You've just cut out, Jonah.
We're frozen for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I don't think he can hear us. Oh.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, Jonah.
All right.
Well, okay. I didn't really have any questions planned.
Okay,
there we go.
Is that better?
Hi. Yes. I can you hear us? Because I don't think. Okay, that's good.
Okay. Sorry.
Kristen said that's the limit.
My Wi-Fi is just really bad, and my computer is really old. It doesn't make for a good combination. So I guess the next question would be Tommy. Unless Tommy, did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay. My next question I was kind of thinking of: do you believe that capitalism can be reformed and work for the people?
Oh.
We are the socialist type of us.
You've just gone straight to the heavy stuff, haven't you?
I think in a perfect world, yes, it could be. Is that realistic? No.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like in my lifetime, I presume, I think that nothing that I want to happen, socially and systemically would be like happen. I mean, probably, I don't know, maybe there will be revolution, but if not, it's like in my lifetime, I don't think there's going to be significant reform to the point that's for good, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I feel like that's pretty reinforced by like the riots in Minneapolis, how quickly they got that done. It's just a sort of a real life example of a revolt working in the people's favor, I guess. Whereas I'm sure if people hadn't done that, police reform.
Right. Isn't there a new kind of commune in Seattle?
Yes, Chaz.
Chaz, right?
I don't like that name.
Why?
Well, because it's Capitol
sounds-
Hill Autonomous Zone.
I'd
Okay,
rather
but it
say
sounds
that
like
than
Chad.
Chaz.
It sounds like Chad, straight up. It sounds like Chad. But no, I'd say I agree with that. With what Tommy was saying. What policies would you say you're most passionate about?
In general, probably like immigration, abortion. I don't really know where I stand with like defunding the police right now. What
Why not?
else? I'm still researching it because I used the wrong word. I don't know if y'all saw my video.
Yeah,
But
we
yes, 'cause that I don't, because again, it's like I don't know what's realistic right now, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to be able to find like examples or something that could be sustainable in like the society that we live in right now, because I don't think in the near future we could be close to like fully abolishing law enforcement in general. So I'm still
Right.
trying to research to see where I stand that's like realistic, but also what's the right word? That's realistic, but also positive, if that makes sense, because reality is not the most positive right now.
I mean, yeah. Do you agree with Biden's thing that you want to give that like Biden? I'm pretty sure Biden said that like you wanted to give the police like $300 million more in funding.
I
Kind
thought
of
his
cringe.
policy was shoot them in the leg, not the face.
Oh yeah. For someone coming at them with a knife, he said shoot them in the leg, not the chest.
Oh,
So
well,
Brilliant policy decisions.
wow.
Joe Biden, the policy wizard.
It's like all police brutality after that point is just
Oh, you need an
totally
appendix surgery? Here, we'll take out your colon instead.
yeah. Well, I don't even think 300 million in his own circumstance would be enough, because I know DPD, which is like Denver Police Department, is like $400 million a year.
Jesus.
So
I
it's
heard
it's like,
San Diego's
What does
like
Denver need
half a
police?
billion.
What does
What does
Denver?
Denver-
What does Denver need that much money for police? Like you guys legalized weed. It's not even like
I don't know, like loitering of teenagers. I don't know. I have no idea.
So I guess the next question I had would be that. So I consider myself an eco-socialist. Do you believe that under the primary system we have, which is capitalism, whether it's capitalism in America, the Nordic countries, state capitalism in China, do you believe that the planet is able to survive under capitalism?
No,
Interesting.
I don't. I mean, I think like with right now, do you mean like environmentally speaking, like in regards to like global warming, or just
So as a just tough. It's more than global warming, just as a whole, I would say, beyond global warming. But global warming is included.
okay. So like by the world surviving, which is what you said. Do you mean like human
Like,
population
Inhabitable.
regard-
Like we're not gonna like the planet won't be pushed to a point where we're literally like our species will begin to go extinct because we killed our planet.
Oh. Oh, I think that's probably what's going to happen if we don't do something about it.
Do you believe that a Green New Deal would work, like would save our planet?
I mean, I don't think totally. The thing with the Green New Deal for me, from what I've seen, doesn't focus enough on like the first what is it? The first the biggest thing, I don't know what the right word is, so I'm going to say thing. The biggest producer, there you go, of
Thank you, Rye.
He just moved in, so
the biggest producer of carbon emissions is the food industry, which I feel like
right.
like in the US, if everybody just stopped eating meat, then literally like our emissions would drop to such a low amount that like what we would have to do would just be like start public transportation. But that's like, if we don't change that, it's like the US isn't going to get anywhere with the difference in CO2 emissions. But
Right.
So, yeah. So my take on this is that, first of all, I don't think if you want to drive a Prius, if you want to get an electric car, go for it. I'm not saying you shouldn't, and in fact, I'm saying you should. But at the same time, I think it's a little bit of an oversimplification to say, oh, well, people just need to stop wearing leather and start driving renewable cars, because when you find out that 70% of the world's emissions are produced by industries and companies, I feel like that kind of takes away from the whole individual choice thing. It leans more towards, well, what do we consider in terms of a corporate capitalist structure?
Okay.
And I think that, like, okay, Crazy Beard, I'm going to show this comment just for you. He has been trying to get me to do this for
he did tell me to ask you to throw it back. He did. I was gonna wait until later, but I mean.
All right. Well,
I've got a question, I guess. Wait, so have you heard all the stuff? What's her name? Politics with Sophie. Have you heard about that? I gotta hear your opinion.
We gotta get your
changing their whole ideology with a 20-minute conversation
with a Zoom call.
Yes.
I'm in those Zoom calls every day.
Right.
Because I can't stand those Zoom calls.
Well, I find it very intriguing to learn about, different ideologies as much as I may think they're wrong. I think it's very, interesting to learn about them and listen to them, because they are intelligent people and they understand what they're trying to communicate to other people, and they're very good at communicating it.
Sure.
So if I was not stable in my belief set, and I was kind of iffy with a lot of things that I believed in, then they are extremely convincing. And I think with Sophie, because she is 14.
She's 14.
She's 14.
Oh, that's a little bit of a different situation.
Yes. She's going to be a freshman next year. And she was in the Dem Hype House, too, because she was, like, our youngest member. I don't know. We wanted to have somebody that was young to, like, reach out to younger kids.
I guess. It's not like you guys are, like, that much older.
Yeah, I mean, maturity-wise, it's a different story.
Sure.
But I mean, it was just weird because we, like, one day I was at a protest and Matt calls me, that liberal guy. He called me. He's like, "Have you seen Sophie's page?" And it was just like, I go to her account and it's a picture of her political compass, and it says, "And that's on education." And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah. Here's my problem. Like, if you actually watched YouTube videos, read books, what have you, and you said, okay, I buy this argument of this ideology, that's one thing. It's a little bit different, in my opinion. I think Tommy can agree with this, when it's like a 20-minute Zoom call with like 5 different people just hounding you, basically.
I will say she has, because I was in like close contact with her, she has been very, I don't know what the right word is, very inconsistent with like the economic theory that she supports. And like she was asking like Finn, you guys know Finn, right?
Yeah.
Yes. She kind of became good friends with Finn, and like Finn was talking to her, and then I don't know if you know who Harry is, but he's like a capitalist.
No, I don't know who Harry is.
And she would just ask everyone, and she was very confused with it. And I think that they were able to word what she wanted to hear about capitalism in a Zoom call, which is go ahead.
I also just think like it's weird because Tommy was in one of those Zoom calls. Like, I think the first one
I was in the one where I believe they started talking to her, and I was like, because it popped up on the For You page for the Socialist Hype House account, and I was like, oh, she was saying like join a Zoom and educate me about capitalism. I was like, I'm studying economics at a university, so I mean, I feel like I could educate about capitalism. I mean, I'll obviously be biased, but then as soon as I get in, I see there's like 3 people from the classical liberal hype house all spouting like very, very hypothetical like bullshit that's not accurate, And
it was just like, and it was weird because when Tommy was talking to me after he joined that Zoom call, after he left it, and he basically said, like, I said, well, where does she stand? And he said, I don't know, but when I asked, she said, I hate capitalism. So
yeah, so by the end of it, presumably
by the end of it changed.
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
But Yeah, I think that's like I have no problem if you change your beliefs. Just like make sure you know why you're doing it.
I agree. It's like don't let other people tell you what to believe.
Yeah,
Y-
like I used like freshman year, like I considered myself like quote unquote independent. Like I consider myself pretty centrist, but like I started watching more lefty YouTubers. I started reading more books about lefty policies and what America has done. And by the end of it, I was like, and now I'm an eco-socialist, but I know why I am. Like I know how I got there. And I know like the key tenets of my ideology and like why I support it. So I guess that's my whole thing. Here's a question for you. Has Trump done anything that you support?
I mean, the First Step Act isn't the worst thing ever. I think that he's done a decent job, maintaining a good economy until coronavirus. But that's not like something he does directly. I just think that's something he upheld. I mean, like the only
Sure. Why do you think it was a good economy?
well, good, not well. I mean, by economy, I mean after
The
Obama.
stock market.
Yeah, not
You
like
mean the stock market? Okay.
yes, yes, not like capitalism. I'm saying that as like because Trump supporters often use the argument that he has a very good economy, which isn't something that he does directly, but it's more about that he's upheld something that was, pretty decent to begin with for the current country, like for the state of the country that we live in right now.
Sure. So I guess I would disagree with that in the sense that I don't think either of them had a good economy.
Okay.
I think that unemployment is a relatively misleading statistic. I think
Mhm.
things like GDP growth, stock market, NASDAQ, all those, it doesn't reflect the reality of where the American people are. So 78% of the American people live paycheck to paycheck. That's according to Forbes and CNBC. More than 50% of Americans can't afford a more than $500 medical emergency. So people are right on the brink.
Mhm.
And when people say, "Oh, Trump has low unemployment," Obama had low unemployment, Obama grew jobs. It's about what those jobs did and what those jobs paid and how much power those workers had. And right now, less than 7% of the private sector is unionized. So I think when you say, "Oh, we had a good economy," it's a good economy by the metrics we use.
Yes.
But
But
those
I don't
metrics are
think those
cringe.
metrics are cringe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
I guess what I was trying to say. You just worded it better than I did. I think that
right.
it's not like obviously nothing right now is what I would like it to be specifically, but it's not like it's something that isn't inheritable because of the current conditions that we're in right now.
Mhm.
So, but yeah.
One last thing I'll say on that. This is the most mind-blowing statistic I've heard. 90% of the shares in the stock market are owned by the top 10% of people in the income bracket. So when Trump says, "Oh, record high stock market," obviously you cut taxes for the rich. Like, come on now.
Mhm. Yeah, that does sound
I would say one thing that Trump has done for me that I wouldn't like scream at is the peace talks with North Korea. I think
Mhm.
like I think like he didn't do it in the correct way, but I think by not escalating at all, like that was probably a thing I would say is a good thing. Thomas, do you have any particular thing that Trump did that wasn't terrible?
I mean, there were things that he originally talked about whenever he was running that I was like, oh, that's not horrible. Like one thing was the two he touted this big $2 trillion infrastructure plan that I was like, oh, that's great. That'll provide, decent paying jobs to a lot of people for several years. Congressional term limits. I mean, at the time I was like a reformist. Um, so, you know,
Right.
but that's pretty much it. Nothing he's done in practice
No,
I've been a huge fan of.
nothing he's really done in practice. I would definitely agree with that. Okay, here's the different. I'm going to give you a hypothetical.
Okay.
You're talking to a swing. You're just talking to a kind of a middle ground, moderate swing supporter in a swing state like Ohio or Pennsylvania, and they're on the fence about Biden or Trump.
Okay.
What do you say to that person to get them to vote for the candidate you want?
I mean, obviously, the candidate I would want would preferably be Biden. I'd probably like right now, like if somebody asked me this exact
Right
second.
now, I am a steel mill worker in Ohio, and I want to know why I should vote for Biden.
I would probably talk about just the difference in like types of leadership overall, and talk about how Trump right now, the way that he's trying to advertise to people is by sticking to a specific majority in like large voting states like in the South, and then just like totally ignoring and like not going to the requests of the rest of the population, and just talk about like how he's handled coronavirus, as well as like what he's done to like threaten the entire country to military right now, because of riots and stuff, and then
Mhm.
also probably talk about like tax cuts, budget cuts. What else? I feel like there's so many things that I'm not mentioning. There's
Right,
definitely so many things, but it's like I'm thinking about it now, and they're like out the window.
right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Who's a conservative you would want to debate?
I mean, I want to debate Lance, but only because, but only because.
Yeah, I would want to debate. Me and Tommy want to debate
I
Lance so
want to
bad.
debate Lance so
So
bad on
bad.
literally any economic issue.
Like literally any economic issue, because this is so we were talking to Finn of the Communist Side Pass one night. This is like at the beginning of quarantine. But basically, here, hang on. Uh,
Thank you.
but basically he was talking, and apparently Lance DM'd him. Then they were talking, like having an argument,
Yeah.
and apparently he said Stalin built the Berlin Wall. So a couple things wrong with that. One, Stalin's one person; he can't build an entire wall. Two, Stalin was dead, I'm pretty sure, by the time the Berlin Wall was built.
Lance is just. I don't even know. I don't feel like any of his content is valuable to political discourse.
No, well, I saw he had a poll. He had a poll today, like, oh, should I do my regular content or just do magic stuff?
Magic.
And the vote, the last I checked, was like 80% magic.
No, it's the best conspiracy theory of all time that Lance is secretly like a leftist
100%.
who just tried to gain a following by being a Trump supporter, and now he can do his real talent for magic.
I
Well,
honestly.
wouldn't it make more sense if he was just a magician, though? And later, like, how do I get people to follow me? I'm a magician.
It's like,
I know I'm gonna say controversial stuff about abortion,
yeah, but what he says is just so surface level. Yeah,
That's from Crazy Beard.
He's still kind of
yeah.
creepy, though.
That's so true. Lance is also just, I feel you'd think he'd act differently off of his TikTok, but wasn't friends with him, but I was like, I don't know, I had him on Snapchat and we played Fortnite together a few times.
I remember I tried to expose you for that. I remember that.
What would he expose? It's like me asking.
Apparently, you called him. Apparently, took a screenshot of a Snapchat. You called him Lancey Pants. Apparently,
It's his Xbox. It's his game tag. So like
okay.
everybody in our party calls him that. Like it's not like that sounds so like, imagine if I just called him Lancy Pants like for no reason.
Based.
No, that's his gamer tag.
No, but that's just funny. No, me and Tommy were talking like any economic issue, please,
Yeah.
for the love of God, like anything. Here's a question we asked me, Kristen and I asked this to I'm Not Natalie. If you could go back in time to when you were making the decision to start posting political content, would you tell yourself not to do it?
Oh, I would tell myself to do it. I think it's been a really cool experience. Like it's yes, there's a lot of like negative stuff, correlated into being in politics, but it's like I've made a bunch of really good friends. And I've what? Oh. And I've also it's just been a really fun experience, and I don't think it's not going to last forever. So it's like
Right.
something fun to do when you're a teenager, and it's like the one worry you have is how many followers you have on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we asked that question to I'm Not Natalie, and I think she said yes, actually. She said she would probably tell herself not to because, like, she gets some serious harassment.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
Yeah, it's politics are just it's so toxic, especially on TikTok.
Who would you say is your favorite conservative?
TikToker?
Yes.
Um
Do you have one?
Oh.
We should start with that.
well, I mean, I'm not like close with any of them.
Sure.
I've been friendly. Her name is Maddie. She started conservative hype house because she got kicked out of Republican hype house.
Oh,
And
what happened with that? I
They-
never.
bullied her
Oh.
and like called her ugly
Ooh.
and like just really nasty, mean things. They didn't specifically have a reason to kick her out, and they did. And I'm pretty sure they brought in a different girl after.
Was that Republican Blondie? The girl they brought in.
Is that her name?
I don't know. She's
Well,
very.
she was
She's
horrible.
very not smart.
I would like to debate her. That's another person I would.
That's true. I would love to debate because she said Bernie she said that America and Democrats have been implementing socialism since coronavirus started, and I'm like, that's news to me.
It's like, really? That's crazy.
I might start supporting the Democrats now if that were true.
Oh my gosh, yeah. She's very something.
She's very Turning Point USA-ish.
That
Oof.
yes. Yeah, she's like the human encompassing of Turning Point USA in a whole. Oh.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, here's another question.
Mhm.
Do you think with let's take Nick videos for example, there was that whole thing with you, Nick, and Izzy and Nick, and do you think that deplatforming is a valid strategy to try and decrease someone's audience? Or do you think that Nick is kind of just gotten such a big audience now and such a staunch conservative audience that it doesn't really matter?
I don't think he's ever going to be deplatformed. However, I think his future in politics is non-existent because of how he acts and how people have like come out about him. And that to me is more important than, him being on TikTok, because I'd rather not have, Nick in office. Oh my gosh.
Ew, that's cringe. Yeah, I mean, what do you? Oh, this is someone commented this and it reminded me. I'll put it up now. What's your opinion on her?
She is very like the definition of Republican. She's very like when you think of Republican and like the most, I'm not saying I encourage generalizations, but in the most generalized just type of way, it's like she lives on a farm. She rides horses.
It's just
she
like,
loves Jesus.
what if Jesus is dead?
What if, dude? I'll never know. Like,
oh, by the way, okay, we asked this question to all of our interviewees. Is Stalin daddy? We asked Gabby this question. She came up with the right answer.
You say yes, right?
I don't know.
I know that she said yes because y'all clipped it, didn't you? I would say maybe there are a few things that he's done that were relatively questionable, but other things that, were pretty good. So, I don't know.
I'm the ML. That's a good enough answer for me.
All right.
Even I'll admit, he did some questionable things.
He did do some.
I overwhelmingly support most of what he did, though.
The purges were a little bit questionable.
Oh,
like not his best move. Not his best hour.
It's really only the main thing that comes to mind for me is for things I'm not totally in support of were the purges.
Yeah, the purges were kind of
pretty much everything else was just like Western lies.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, do you know how to debunk the Venezuela argument?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Well, okay, so basically, whenever Word Socialist Type House posts a video, we can count on one of 5 comments, and one of them being that Venezuela.
Yes.
So basically, Venezuela has 2/3 of their economy is in the private sector. Their economy collapsed because of our sanctions mostly,
Mhm.
and they're just not socialist.
Yes. Well, I did know that they were not socialist, but I didn't know how to debunk it. So now I do.
I mean, there you go. Let's see here. So we're at about 36 minutes right now. So let's see here. So what policies of Joe Biden's do you like?
Honestly, I'll be completely honest with you right now. I have not done any research into his policies because I was not a fan of him from the start. And it's like, well, does he support Medicare for all?
No, he very
He
much
does?
does not
No.
support Medicare for all. He's a staunch public option advocate.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no is the right
He was asked a
answer.
question during an ABC interview, or no, 60 Minutes, and basically the guy goes, "If Medicare for all somehow passed and came to your desk, would you veto it?" And he said yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, that's not the best thing ever. But I'm like, because I feel like if I did look into it, I would hate him.
You
And
probably
that,
should look into it.
yes, but ugh, I don't even. My biggest thing with the election this year is it's so just this or that, and you can't have anything else besides it. And it's like I would rather not have Trump because if we did, the odds of us going into like a completely militarized state is very
That's true.
high.
That's true.
And I would rather not have that. I would rather not have that over like Joe Biden not supporting, Medicare for all. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess my whole thing with the military state is that I really don't know if I can depend on Joe Biden to decrease the military budget.
really,
Like there is no, I do not trust him with that. Um, so Ashley, if you could basically take a country, their policies socially and economically, and replicate it here in the U.S., what country would you choose?
oh, let me think. There's a few options that I would do. Um, Probably not Poland. Not probably like a country in Scandinavia. It depends which one.
Okay.
Um, Socially, it's iffy because gay marriage or Sweden because
Mhm.
neutralization. But
Right.
I I don't know. It's so hard because they're so much smaller than the U.S. and we have no idea how it would look, if everything was implemented.
Here's a question. Are you in favor of decriminalizing or legalizing all drugs? So not
Yes.
just so yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, decriminalizing or legalizing. Which one?
I support like rehabilitation programs for like the worst kinds of drugs. Like, well, I don't know what the system is. It's is it in Norway where they
I think it's Portugal. You're thinking of
Portugal
Portugal.
where like
Portugal is decriminalized.
Well, Portugal has decriminalized all drugs. So basically, like I'm fairly sure marijuana is legal there, although it might just be decriminalized. But basically, like under a decriminalization system, legal marijuana would be legal. Like you could just go to a dispensary and buy it. And if you got caught for possession of things like crack, cocaine, heroin, meth, instead of going to jail, you would be sent to a treatment center.
yeah. Yes. But yes, that would be decriminalization because then
Yes.
legalization would just be like technically it would be like how things are sold in Colorado, like in regards to like marijuana, it would be like everything else.
Something
Kind of.
like that. I mean, kind of, but not really. Like my whole example that I like to bring up with, because I'm pro legalization rather than decriminalization,
I don't know
and I
which I
like to
am
draw
yet.
to the example of Switzerland. Like they had a huge heroin epidemic back in the 80s, kind of like what we're seeing now. And so what they did was they launched a program where like heroin users can go into this place, and the Swiss government actually provides like free heroin and free needles for them, and it's worked incredibly well, better than just like policing ever did.
Right. And I
it's like,
know,
well, if we can, at least make these people functional.
and I
Yeah,
know
it work.
back in the I think it was the 20s, kind of like in the U.S. basically heroin was legal, and basically what happened was you could get it over the counter, but it was a much more kind of dumbed down version.
It wasn't.
What do you mean?
It was no, they just legit sold like actual heroin. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay, I
They
thought
put
I
it in
read
like
it.
they put it in like stuff for babies who were teething, along with like they do like cocaine and heroin powders for like babies. Yeah. 1920s America was insane.
Oh yeah.
1920s America was not the Roaring 20s we're getting now. I gotta say, when I remember all the Instagram posts would be like Roaring 20s, and I'd be like,
Oh my gosh.
oh please.
It's like kind of happening though in some kind of ways. I was thinking about that the other day. It's like people were like, "Yeah, the Roaring 20s," but it's like pandemic, with
Mhm.
and then, stock market crash. Kind
Right.
and
Okay.
Oh, we haven't even seen the worst of it
We
yet.
really haven't, because like I read a stat the other day that like 40% of unemployment claims right now haven't even been processed.
Yeah.
So even if we do reopen, like there's just so much we're gonna have to deal with. Here's a couple. So it's kind of back to back.
Okay.
One, who is your favorite president of all time? Two, who do you think is the best president of all time?
like in regards to like what metric? Because I don't think any president has ever been like perfectly good.
No, I don't think any president has been good, period. But
Yeah.
There's
I
that one
mean-
who died after like 30 days, though.
Oh, William Henry
Kind of
Harrison.
is,
Yes,
yeah.
He died of a cold, I think, in the 1830s from Indiana. I remember I watched Parks and Rec, so that's how I know about that. But no, best I would say just improvement of the country.
Oh,
From
I would
like
probably
where
say okay, I'd probably
like
say Obama because of legalization of gay marriage. And I feel like that was a really big step society-wise. As much as I don't agree with his foreign policy, I feel as though that
okay.
that's that was a really go ahead.
I mean,
I always make the
okay.
joke about that. Like that's like it's like more gay drone pilots.
I never heard that one. That's funny. No, I mean, like, yeah. I would probably say this is kind of like I don't like any of them. I should preface
Yeah,
that with this. I'm a Teddy fan. Teddy, and I don't like most of his policies. Like, I just like Teddy because he's a badass, straight up. Like the man had so many boxing matches in the White House, and he called his party the Bull Moose Party. That's insane. Could you imagine? Could you imagine like AOC just running as the Bull Moose Party? No, you couldn't.
I'm just thinking of, do y'all watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia at all?
I've watched like the first 3 seasons. It's really funny, but like really cringe sometimes.
I mean, the whole point is, yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
cringe. There's a character in it, Frank Reynolds, and
one of the
Danny DeVito's character, and there's a line that just made me think of like Best President, where Danny DeVito goes, "Yeah, dying is badass."
No, suicide.
I'm like,
is badass.
William Henry, suicide is badass.
I think my favorite Danny DeVito meme right now is like, "Can I offer you an egg in this trying time?"
Yeah.
And he just popped it out of a car seat, and it's hilarious. He just goes, "Can I offer you an egg in this trying time?" So I guess right now we're at about the 45-minute mark. So we actually have a fair amount of viewers here. So what I'm thinking of doing is a little bit of Q&A with the audience. So Tommy, and these questions for you, the audience, can be addressed to Ashley, or they can be addressed to all of us, or they can be addressed to either myself and Tommy or Tommy. So go for it. Ask away. I will display the questions.
Oh.
First of all, it's never gonna happen.
I mean, classical music, obviously.
Classical music.
Yes.
Also, if
precisely.
anyone were to teach me, it would be a luring skull.
Oh my gosh, there's like I watch them throw back, and I literally am like in awe. I don't know how.
I don't know how they
I
do
just
it. Let's see.
Weird.
Oh, okay. I wanna address this question.
Oh,
Thoughts on Ben Shapiro? Is the word mega cringe enough? Like,
No, that's not enough.
Tommy, I'm gonna let you handle this question.
I already know which one, yeah. Okay, why do you guys disregard that Stalin caused millions of deaths? Okay, A, he didn't. B, I'm presuming you're referring to that time the kulaks got all pissy and burned grain and killed their cattle. So Stalin didn't kill millions. Kulaks killed millions.
You have to say pissy.
The kulaks got pissy. They were like, "We don't want to collectivize."
Here, let's see. This question is. I'm gonna
Oh no,
give that for all of us. How do you feel about Nick Video's dancing?
that's so bad. Why does he dance like
it's
a
terrible.
fucking robot?
It's honestly just, I don't feel bad about saying this. It's terrible.
I have secondhand embarrassment when he posts them, and no offense, Nick, if you're ever gonna watch this, you won't. I don't think dancing is your thing. I think you should stick to
Stick to neocon.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see here. This is from one of our members, Hungry Rye.
Underrated and should be popular. I think the probably global warming, I feel like, isn't debated enough, because I know everybody, should believe in global warming. There are a lot of conservatives that do, but not. I feel like nobody debates the long-term effects
I
of
would
it.
love to debate a global warming.
Yes, see? And I feel like it's you have to be able to debate how we should change right now and how that affects people in the future, because I feel like a lot of people focus on what's happening right now and not looking at the long-term effects. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Nope, not that one.
Nope.
Thomas,
what is this? What specifically do you hate about as if? I think this person asked classical. I think they meant
classical
they asked classical
liberalism.
liberalism. What specifically do I hate about it? I mean, just about everything. I think it's
social
incredibly idyllic, and
it really is.
Also, there's never been a practical example of the ideology that they tout. It's never existed in practice, and the examples that they draw to are
Georgia,
2006 Somalia, 1500s Iceland.
Can I just say too, the hypocrisy? They're you can't bring up Nordic countries because it's not accurate to the U.S. And then it's post World War II Georgia.
Yeah.
What?
Ashley, this is from Crazy Beard.
I'm starting, actually. I'm really good friends with Finn, and so he has recommended a few things to me. Off the top of my head, I can only remember Capital, but I ordered 3 books. I can text you what they are, and then we can have a conversation after that. So I'm waiting for them to come in the mail.
Ooh, okay. This is a question, so it's a two-parter. This is from Belle. So Jonah and Tommy, how the hell does our Snapchat keep drying out? That group chat, it goes very we'll either text all day or just never. And then Ashley, would you debate Liberty the Mustang?
Yes, I want to so bad, so bad. I feel like we. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You keep going.
I feel like we talk equally fast, so I feel like the debate would just be a very fiery. Just two girls that talk really fast, just going at each other. But I also feel as though I could beat her. So I mean, I've reached out to her. She hasn't answered. So we'll see. We'll see if she answers.
This person has asked this question twice, so I'm going to display it. This is for Ashley.
How do I get my account? I really wish I could give you advice, but I feel like I just got really lucky. Because my first kind of big break was Lance agreeing to debate me, even though it was just me debating Nick with Teddy. And then like after that, it just kind of kept going up. Which was just I feel like it's a way of how you play things. You have to like reach out to bigger people, make connections, and also just
Sure.
like post consistent types of content.
Also, I will say debate clips tend to get better
Mhm.
views.
Yeah.
This is from Hungry Rye again.
I now am well, okay. So before, when I started high school, I had 60K on TikTok on an old account. So unfortunately, at school, I've always been known as the TikTok girl. So, I mean, now it's like a different type of TikTok, but I just try to separate myself from my phone and like books that I read, and like spend time or like FaceTime my other friends and like read not stuff that's involved with politics, and like sing. But like besides that, it's kind of constant.
This is for all of us. This is from Mackenzie again. Did you ever get made fun of for making political TikToks? So I'll start. It's a little bit weird for me because some of my friends are like socialists, but they just like the fact that I'm making TikToks at all. Like, it's not necessarily the political aspect. It's just the fact that I like use TikTok sounds and they see me in videos sometimes on their For You page, so that's the funny part. Tommy, same question.
Not really. I mean, most the friends that know I'm like into TikTok and all that, like, and know about like the Socialist Hype House account, think it's like the coolest shit ever. So,
Oh, nice.
Ashley?
Yes, a lot. High school
High schoolers are mean.
sucks.
Straight up.
I when I first started my account, it was really, really bad from like kids at my school because, I used to be friends, I guess, with this whole group of like white boy, white girl Trump supporters.
Okay.
And they were like very adamant on like going on every single one of my posts on like Instagram and TikTok.
Jesus.
And they were like you just like look stupid, and like it was just like really petty stuff. And like now that I have the amount of followers that I do, it kind of stopped because I think they realize that it's
It doesn't matter.
pointless.
yeah. Here's one
Yeah,
question.
go for it.
What I don't know how to pull thing. I think only you can pull
Oh,
things.
which one do you want?
It's what types of socialists are you?
Oh, okay, here. This is from Tyler Mayer. What types of socialist are you? So I consider myself an eco-socialist, so that means I want an economy where the workers are in control of the means of production, with a dictatorship of the proletariat, and with an emphasis on environmentalism over production. Tommy?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm a Marxist-Leninist, so I'm a little bit more authoritarian than a lot of others, but I support a state run by the workers, Vanguard Party, all that good shit. And also it's just, I mean, it's worked so many times in practice.
Sure.
It's beautiful.
This is from Crazy Beard. He's been persistent in this one.
I saw
Ashley.
that. I have always grown up with dogs, but I have like a love for cats.
Oh,
Like a
that's
nice
cringe.
cat.
That's cringe.
Mm.
Like, okay, well, here's the thing. Dogs, I love my dog. Don't get me wrong. But imagine like a cat. I feel like cats are more friendly, but then also if you need like space from your cat, then you're fine because cats
That's
are very
true.
independent. And like with dogs, they're more, like activity oriented. Like have to go outside a lot, and a cat can just like pee in the bathroom in the litter box. So it's like,
Okay. Here, this is from one of our members, Kristen. Ashley?
yes. Yes, they are very supportive. At first they were not because it was kind of toxic, but now they are very supportive of it, and they like help me out a lot. They
Right.
buy stuff for me. which is-
Thomas, I'm going to
Aw.
display this question for us. What's the difference between democratic socialism and socialism? Tommy?
I mean, if we're gonna go into like what people commonly refer to as democratic socialism, I mean it's not socialism at all. I mean the workers don't own the means of production in Sweden and Norway and all that. I mean the fundamental difference too. I mean is I mean under socialism there should be no private ownership of industry, you know?
Yeah, and I guess if we're talking in more literal terms, not in terms of like what the real life connotation is, just socialism is achieved through revolutionary means. Democratic socialism is achieved through democratic means. Both systems uphold the workers owning the means of production. It's just how you get there is the difference. Let's see. This is from Aiden Hill. I'll give this for all of us. What are your best research methods? I'll start with the university person who's studying economics. Tommy, research methods, what do you say?
I mean, it depends what the debate's on. I mean, if it's an economic debate, you just find a ton of case studies basically and look through them. And, you know, most of the time, I mean, I consider my specific ideology very scientific, so I go through it and, you know, go through all the data that I can and sort of do a pre-revolution, post-revolution look at their economic system. See what improved and all that. But I mean, if you're talking like more so just broadly for debates, I mean, there are some huge research docs that are shared by like pretty much all leftist creators, I think. So
yeah, and I think also if you're just trying to develop your ideology, for me, I would say read as many books as you can, read as much kind of economic theory as you can, and also I think YouTubers can be kind of a good source of like just supplementing. I wouldn't say base your ideology off of YouTubers, but like they can help simplify the arguments, I would say. So let's see here. What's the funniest comment you've ever gotten? Honestly, political TikTok is kind of chill, minus the time I was called a colored hair fruitcake. That's not fun. The funniest comment I've ever gotten. I remember. I posted a video because someone commented under one of my videos saying like, "Oh, the National Socialist Worker Parties were socialist," which is obviously like the Germans and during World War II. I made a video about it because I'm Jewish, and I'm like, "Yo, stop saying this if you're a political creator." And the first comment someone comments under it, "Socialism will never work." I'm like, "That's what you got out of my video?"
I think my funniest one was on my personal, and I think someone was trying to translate some like really shitty like fascist language from like Germany in the 30s into English, and the translation came out really poorly. And it was something very like cryptic, like "Night of the Lamppost soon," and I was like, okay.
How does that even make sense? Ashley, funniest comment?
I love, it makes me giggle when people just comment, it's like, of course she has blue hair. Or
Oh my god.
like anything revolving my hair, because people don't realize I literally dye my hair to fit the stereotype. So it's like that's like the only thing that they say. And it just makes me laugh because they're so easy. It's so easy. Like
Didn't Lance comment that?
Yes. I dye my hair like on live with my stepmom, and she literally was talking about how she thought Lance would either make a video or like comment about how like blue hair stops you from being smart, and he literally commented that exactly. It's just
it's cringe. Here.
Thoughts on Nance. Pull that one up.
Wait, where is it?
Thoughts on Nance.
Nance. Oh. I ship.
Gross.
I have a very different opinion than every other leftist on TikTok. I think that it is very unproductive for like shipping two people, which I don't know their sexualities. I mean, I know Nick is straight.
I'm fairly sure Nick has announced, or Lance has also announced himself as straight.
Yes, and I think here's the thing. I'm not saying y'all can't make jokes. Y'all do whatever you want. I'm not controlling you on that wise. But I think when you are telling two self-proclaimed straight men that they are not straight, it is very unproductive.
I don't think productivity is the goal.
It's definitely not the goal with that. It's just to have a giggle.
Here, I'm gonna pull this comment up from earlier, Thomas.
Is there a difference between democratic socialism and oh, I missed it. You
Social democracy.
social democracy? There's like some minuscule difference from what I know.
I think social
I mean, at
democracy
the end of
is
the
just
day, I'm fairly certain both of them are still pretty mixed economies at the end of the day. So
I don't think so.
pretty
I
sure
think
they're
it's social democracy is kind of just heavily regulated capitalism with social safety nets, and democratic socialism literally is just socialism achieved through democratic means.
impossible.
Right. Let's see here.
Can I clarify something really fast?
Go
Yep.
for it.
So unusual Kristen, I 100%. I am not saying that somebody is gay is an insult at all. But I do specifically think, like, in the situation of Nick and Lance, if they like, my end goal with them is for them not to be, you know, homophobic or transphobic at all. And I think that it is unfortunately leading them the wrong way. Which is not our intention, but that's just unfortunately how they take it. But I just wanted to
Sure.
say that.
I guess
Go ahead.
my whole thing is that, like, they're never not going to be transphobic.
Yeah.
Like transphobic in particular. Like homophobia, I feel like is kind of like comparable the same way racism. Like, I don't think like some conservatives are overtly racist,
Yeah.
and overtly homophobic, but I think the majority of conservatives aren't overtly racist or homophobic. They just have implicit biases.
Yeah.
About homosexual people and not trans, but and people of color. But I think with transphobia, they're so overtly transphobic. Like, oh, I'm never gonna not call people or I'm never gonna call people their correct pronouns. Crazy Beard. He responded to Crazy Beard and said that, and I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But here, let's see. This is from Bell again. I'll give this to all of us.
Oh yeah, here's a decent question.
Even
Thoughts on the monopolies in the healthcare system, even the supplies are monopolized. I mean, that's the natural tendency in a capitalist system.
Yeah.
Everything, it doesn't matter if it's healthcare or a shoemaker or a grocery chain. The natural tendency is to monopolize.
And also, just like, I want a monopoly in healthcare. Just I want the government to have the monopoly. Like, that's the difference. Let's see here. Let's scroll. Let's say we got about. Let's just keep going, guys. Keep asking questions. We're gonna keep this going for a little longer. Ashley, do you have any questions for us?
Sure. Have you guys like? Oh, well, obviously you probably haven't like always been socialist or like. But do you like what specifically like pushed you to like look into economic theory more, and like what got you here, I guess is the right question.
Okay. Thomas, do you want me to start or do you want to start?
You can go ahead.
So with socialism in particular, there's kind of a few things that make me an eco-socialist. First of all, I don't believe that capitalism is an ethical system, because I don't believe it's an ethical system where in order for a business to survive, it has to exploit its labor. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's an ethical system under any regulation or whatever, even if it's the Nordic countries, what have you. Secondly, I don't believe that our planet can survive while profit is the primary motive, which is what you get while capitalism is the primary goal. So I don't think our planet can survive while profit is the primary motive. And third of all, I just don't believe it's an ethical system where people's main goal is survival when it comes to their labor rather than what they actually want to do. So that's what's pushed me to become an eco-socialist. Tommy?
I mean, I've always had a weird fixation on economics since I was like 13 or 14. I don't know why. I guess it's just like been a natural inclination, but I mean, sort of in high school, I guess, is whenever I started moving left. And then once I went to college and, all that, and I sort of interacted with a broader range of people, obviously living in a much bigger city. I started to see like a lot of things that just weren't fair, and I was like, well, that doesn't add up with everything I've been told about capitalism. I see this person working hard, but they're struggling to feed themselves, right? And then one of my friends sort of bread pilled me. I think that's the proper term. A
bread
couple
bill.
years ago, started bread pilling me, and got me to start reading theory and sort of backing up everything that I had suspected.
I'm gonna pull up a question from Crazy Beard.
He is a child. He is so insanely immature and refuses to own up to his actions, and he thinks that he puts himself on a pedestal over everyone else. So he thinks that he's never wrong. So he probably is like, Crazy Beard is just trying to ruin my reputation for things that I did. So
for things that I did.
yeah.
Oh God. What other questions do you have?
Oh, okay, okay, I know there are different types of socialism, right?
Sure.
But I've learned a little bit about market socialism and now a little bit about eco-socialism. What other predominant types of socialism are there?
So,
So I mean,
Tommy,
you have like orthodox Marxism that's just like the sort of application of pretty much exactly what Marx said, and not really incorporating any sort of like anarchism or anything into that. It's just based off of what his works suggest. I can't really think of any states where that is kind of like what happened in practice. Most communist or socialist states have been Marxist-Leninist in practice. And so that's incorporating, I mean, the works of Marx and Lenin. And it was sort of, I think the first real iteration of that might have been the USSR. But it's maintaining a bigger state, not only to ensure that people's needs are met, but also, I mean, it's being a Marxist-Leninist is also just as much about maintaining the nation's safety in a sense, right? Because obviously, with America in existence, you can't exactly let your guard down, right? But I think maintaining that centralized control and all that
and
is of utmost importance.
I would also say take the left values test.
Yeah.
I've taken it before.
Okay, so then there's things like left-wing nationalism, which is kind of like non-xenophobic nationalism.
Okay.
With socialism, there's anarcho-communism, which is basically just kind of the end goal, I would say, of communism. Which is
Yeah, in any system.
Can I
which
tell
is
you guys what I got on my thing?
oh, okay. Which
Well,
is a
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, just anarcho-communism is classless, moneyless, stateless society, but it achieves end goal communism without kind of without a state, kind of as a transitory. Like socialism is meant to be the step towards end goal communism. Anarcho-communism basically just achieves end goal communism without socialism as a mediary. Let's see here. This is a Tommy. I'm going to give this question to you.
What would incentivize people to do the dirty jobs in a communist society? I mean, the USSR had it right. You have people who are like miners, for example. They work less hours, less days, get more vacation time, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think just
You know,
and I think some people just like doing dirty jobs, like quote unquote dirty jobs, like manual labor. Like some people just aren't cut out for like intellectual white collar jobs. So there's always going to be, and you can set up various pay incentives, I think. Here, Ashley, I'm gonna give this one to you. This is from Crazy Beard.
I have no idea. I don't even know what's going on with him anymore.
Yeah.
No hate to him, at all, at all. But I am very confused because I think the first I saw of him was when he debated Nick. Well, debated Nick, and since then I've just become increasingly
Wait, he
confused.
debated Nick? I never saw that.
Yes, it was Nick's first debate.
Yeah, except for like he's really weird because he seems conservative, but then you find out he's an anarcho-communist.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's confusing. Let's see here. What other questions do you have for us, Ashley? If you don't have any more, we could.
I mean, there's so many questions. That's the thing.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're very interesting people.
Oh
obviously.
yes, 100%. Let's think. What here? Let me get my thing so I can write it down. Just kidding. I'll write it in the back of 1984. What books do you guys recommend for me? And like,
Okay.
I don't even know what stage of anything I am, but just
I
good
mean,
books.
Critique of the Goth program has sort of become the suggested first read. That's kind of the consensus.
Really? Not the
Yeah, that's
not,
the new consensus is
not the
apparently people.
manifesto?
Yeah, well, I mean, because Critique of the Goth program is a critique of, and I mean, it's meant to drag people who are more used to liberal thought, into socialism, because it's a critique of the German left wing of the time.
And then what's it
So,
called?
How do you spell
Critique
that?
of the Gotha program, and Gotha is Gotha.
Okay.
These are probably all available like as PDFs.
Right. And then if you don't like super academic sounding stuff, because some of it is like really wordy, pretty much anything by Stalin is fantastic and super simply worded.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like rough, it's like because
Yeah.
Stalin's a very controversial character, even in the leftist
Yeah, I would also say
community, but his writing is fantastic.
so I'm actually reading this book right now. It's called What Every Environmentalist Needs to Know About Capitalism. So it's kind of like a two-part manifesto. Not manifesto, but challenge guide. So it basically breaks down the climate crisis and why it is in fact a crisis. And then the second part of it is about why capitalism is non-compatible with a healthy environment. So that's available for I think $15 on the Rainforest website, which is what we call Amazon. So that's called What Every Environmentalist Needs to Know About Capitalism, and also just the Communist Manifesto, I would say.
Okay. Yay.
Here's one I really like. That has there ever been any successful communist country? I mean, well, if we're gonna, let's just say socialist for get everything right. Pretty much every single one was incredibly successful from the economic standpoint. The only thing that ever led to the fall of any particular socialist country was U.S. interference.
That's true.
Like
I mean,
pretty much it. I mean, with the except, well, no, the USSR in essence. I mean,
US,
you had Reagan working with Gorbachev to liberalize the economy.
right?
So,
And I think just also like with, yeah, that's an important distinction to make, like between like the economic success of socialism and communism versus like what happened under social policies, because like Stalin did do the purges. Like, let's not discount that, but also that doesn't determine the economic success of communism and socialism. So like, and same thing with things like Cuba, where it's like you look at economic metrics, Castro did some horrible things, but post revolution, Cuba did succeed and improve economically. So I think that's an important distinction, Jesus, to make. Let's see. Thoughts on Antifa.
based.
Very based.
You're either for fascism or you're against it. So,
let's see. This is from Eli. Eli, I had to kick you from my Discord because you called me fat. So let's get that right out of the way. You're a piece of shit. But still supported Monopoly while saying he wants to eat Bezos. Look, the fact of the matter is, I do want to eat Jeff Bezos. Like, I want to cook him medium rare and eat him for lunch. But the fact of the matter is that I can still buy from a company's website because it was COVID when I bought the book. So I had to buy online. So let's just get that right out of the way. And I would love to break up Amazon. Let's see here. Sounds like someone's. Let's see. Ashley, what other questions do you have?
I don't know.
It's okay if you don't have any. It's okay.
It's like, here's the thing. There's so many things I could know, but it's also when it's like, how do you put it into
Oh, also, yes, I'm going to display this comment. Join our Discord. We will. I will send you the link
Okay.
over TikTok because we can kind of have more, I would say, detailed discussions about various theories and books and literature. Oh, nice. People are joining our Discord. We love when that happens.
Just sends me.
Let's see here. Tommy, I'm gonna this is kind of response to the socialism success point.
Then why was East Berlin a shithole? I mean, are you saying that the US did not interfere in East Berlin? Were the airdrops just not a thing? Or, was there no severe intervention? Because I can assure you that there was. So, and East Berlin too. I mean, if you actually look at the statistics, though, they weren't really bad off necessarily. Also, I think that's the same guy who said, "Why did people flee shithole communist countries?" Again, just like wildly inaccurate. It's just like sort of the things that they teach you in school when you're in like middle school or whatever, and you learn what communism is, and they're like, "Communism bad, people go away from communism."
Communism is when the government does stuff.
Communism is when the government does stuff, and B, people run away from it naturally. Um,
Let's see here.
Can I say something really fast?
Yeah, go for it.
Fast? Will, I see your comments. Yes, I know that I need to do more research. That's why I'm here to learn. Because again, I'm 17 years old. I know I don't know anything about economic theory. Like I know that. Like I literally don't know anything. But I think that it's really important because I think everybody needs to learn at a certain point. There's not something you can't learn about at any given moment. That's why I follow them on TikTok so I can see what they have to say. That's why I go into right wing Zoom so I can learn about what they have to say, as much as it might be wrong. But
Right.
it's yes, thank you for pointing out that I was ignorant and that I
And
needed
I
to do more
think,
research.
and
I
I also
appreciate
think that's kind of a good approach to have, I would say. Like go, yeah, just learn about various theories and ideologies. I'm going to display this comment. I think it's a rather interesting question. Not political necessarily. I've gone through a lot of bullying at school. How do I deal with it? I would say that just find people who love and support you unconditionally. I think unconditional positive regard is a huge psychological thing. That basically people need, in order to achieve people's kind of highest states, you kind of need to have someone in your life who gives you that unconditional positive love, safety, security, and especially in middle school and high school, like that's a huge thing to have. And so I would say join as many clubs as you can, join as many intramurals, extracurriculars, what have you, and just find people who you can go to if you get bullied, who will give you that unconditional positive love.
Mhm.
Um,
Are you sorry? I didn't want to interrupt.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Kind of just to add to what Jonah was saying, I think you have if you join an extracurricular, find something that you're super passionate about. While you have the opportunity to do it in high school, if it's not something job oriented, if there is something that you truly love, then you're totally going to be able to find people in that community that have the same love for that, and it often builds really really good relationships, and that's kind of what happened with me. And then even if you don't find that person, it's there's always going to be somebody who wants to be friends with you. Maybe they're on the internet, maybe they're they go to the same school as you, but there's always going to be people, like Jonah said, that will unconditionally love you. And that, yes.
Thomas, anything to add with that?
No, I have no good advice for dealing with bullying. That shit sucked.
It does suck. I went through that.
Imagine
I
being
still
gay
go
in
through
the Deep
that.
South.
Thomas, I'm going to give this question to you because you like talking about this.
Do you think the USSR was an accurate example of a socialist state? I mean, it wasn't 100% ideal.
Ah,
Oh my god.
sorry.
Okay, I would say it wasn't 100% ideal. They got the gist of it down. Like I said, there's things that I don't agree with it, but I mean, they certainly they certainly struggled with a couple different things. I mean, the fact that they engaged in the whole, because I heard about this recently, the whole commodity production argument, that whole thing. And
I
it was
honestly
well,
don't
they
understand.
make
it,
a
to be
point, but
honest.
at the same time, though, if you're going to facilitate trade between you and outside countries who are not socialist states, but
to be honest, the whole commodity production thing is one of those things where communism just confused me. But I'll learn more about that later. I'm gonna put this one up for both me and Tommy. Hi, George.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine being named George.
George.
Actually, are you curious?
Thank you, George. That's nice.
Are you curious? Human nature doesn't mesh with communism and socialism. I mean, Catalonia was an anarchist state, and there are primary accounts there saying that once you took away the state and the need to survive, that people became much less focused on greed and much more focused on just fulfilling community needs and goals. So, no, I don't think that's true, that capitalism and human nature, or communism, socialism, don't mesh with human nature. I just don't think that's true. And there's really no evidence to back that up. To be honest, that's one of the I would have to say that's one of the dumber arguments when it comes to socialism and communism.
Oh wait, is this the guy?
Wait, no, I don't think so. I think it's a different person.
It's not Griffin.
No, it's not Connor Griffith.
I think he has PTSD.
Ashley, you heard it here officially. I guess you're stupid. You're a stupid lib.
I don't think people realize how I'm not a liberal.
That's true. Didn't your bio? I was telling this to Tommy. Didn't your bio used to say like too radical to be a liberal, too not radical enough to be a leftist?
Well, here's the whole thing with that. Do you guys know who Harrison is?
Snowflake.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are him and a few other people. He's very open about it. Who tend to critique my logic, and I feel as though, I don't know if y'all are friends with him, and like no hate towards him at all. There are a lot of leftists on TikTok that are like, if you are not this, then you are not a leftist. And so they call me a liberal, and it's like, I'm not.
It's tough.
I am. So that's why I made that video.
Apparently it is Connor. The comments are blowing up.
Yeah, it is. It is.
We
Connor.
debated this kid named Connor, and we think he might have called you a stupid lib. It's okay.
Thank you, Connor.
His partner was much worse.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, David.
His partner was a snowflake.
No, like snowflake for real.
He just started screaming like 15 minutes into the debate. He just like started screaming. It was really funny. But
let's see here. I'm trying to go through the questions.
There was one
this is from Kristen. She's a communist, so you are kind of.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm used to it. People don't know that much about my political ideology.
That's
I'm
true.
not very
open. You don't talk much about ideology. I would say your videos are more concerned about policies.
Yes.
Someone asked, are you guys
atheist? Or am I atheist? Oh, I didn't see that one, but I guess yeah. Are you atheist?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, who else would you? I think I'm agnostic, but not like, I'm very spiritual, and I believe in like weird hippie stuff. But I guess you could consider that under agnostic. But I don't really know, because there's not really a word for just.
Yeah, I mean, I say I'm Jewish because my family raised me Jewish, but I'm really not that religious anymore. Let's see here. Let's see here. This is from Tyler Mayer. Are you guys independents? I mean, I don't really like either of the parties, so yeah, I guess. But independents in American politics have kind of gone under the connotation of like, oh, we swing from one side to the other. Like, I'm not really in that category.
Wait, can you vote?
Yes.
What are you registered under?
I am registered Democrat because I don't want to get phone calls from both parties, which is what happens if you register independent. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna vote Biden. Let's see here. Time for Jonah to pull out the. First of all, that's not how you spell yarmulke. Learn how to spell it. All right, Kristen. God. Second of all, no, I'm not going to pull out my yarmulke right now. It's sacred.
I have a
Okay,
question for you guys.
Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt. Do you guys know who Mo Politics is?
I've heard that name a lot over the past
No.
2 or 3 days.
I wanted to see how you guys. He basically debated Bo Diddle, but he's like a complete troll.
Who's Bo Diddle?
Who the
He
hell
has
is Bo Diddle?
He has like 600K, and he's a conservative TikToker, but he doesn't really. Do you know who Teen Republican is?
Yes, I don't.
It's basically
He's
like
very
that,
turning points.
but more popular. And he like set up a debate with Mo, but Mo is like
A troll.
a troll, and Bo Diddle took him like so seriously, and it was the funniest thing I've
That's
ever
hilarious.
seen.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
It's
Oh,
so funny.
Tommy.
No. I'm joking, yeah. Yeah. Duh.
That's not how I thought you were gonna react.
I saw that. I was betting on you bringing that question.
Oh God, I'm gonna let all of us answer this one. Oh God.
Oh,
Just
goodness.
she reminds me of that Dave Chappelle skit. The black white supremacist, you know?
She really does.
Yeah.
Like I have to wonder if it's for money. Like you have to wonder.
I mean, what else would it be for?
Like there's no way she genuinely believes the things that are coming out of her mouth.
Yeah.
It like hurts my brain.
Like Will Applegate, they're in our YouTube channel, so just go to our YouTube channel. Keep going. Sorry.
It you know when you listen to something and it's like mind numbing. Like you listen to it and it just is so unbelievable that it just is funny in some ways. And that is how I feel about Candace Owens.
Like I hear some of the things she said. Like she went on Joe Rogan and said, like, no, I don't believe in climate change. I'm like, okay, there's no way you fucking believe in that. Like you are just getting paid by fucking Turning Points USA to say controversial stuff. So no, I don't really like her. Connor, apparently David's offended that we said he screamed and is a snowflake.
I mean, he kind of do be though.
He kind of do be.
I'm just imagining him on the other side of a screen, like right this moment, going, "God damn commies!"
No, he's screaming it. He can't. He doesn't say it. He's screaming it. Here, thoughts on Vosh versus conservative values.
That was so funny.
So embarrassing for Reese. Like,
oh, that's his name. I didn't know that.
Yes, I used to be friends with him.
Apparently, David thinks we're condescending. Guy, you screamed the entire debate and kept coming back to the same point. You couldn't wrap your head around the fact that laborers are exploited under capitalism. We're not condescending. You just don't know your shit.
I was kind of sad during that debate. There were a lot of points we didn't get to touch on.
There were so many,
because we
like,
just
the
had to
environmental
explain
points.
for so long. Yeah.
If socialism works so well, how
yeah.
could the first
communes in colonial America flopped? That had more to do with like disease.
Well, it was not only disease, but I mean,
no,
my grandpa did it.
No, yeah, that was basically he tried to bring up a point of like, oh, my grandpa started a business in Puerto Rico and he paid his workers fair. He doubled the vacation time that was legally required.
But back to, if socialism works so well, how come the first communes in colonial America flopped? Wasn't one of the first communes the Oneida commune?
Dude, I don't know.
You know what Oneida is? It's like they make like all the fucking silverware for America, basically.
No,
it was like a colonial American like nudist colony.
What? This is news to me.
It's like a nudist commune. It was very weird.
Oh, like I guess like things like Jamestown, like Croatoa, like those, like you can't compare like Native American societies, colonial societies like now, because it's just like So many advances in science and medicine have been made. Oh, I like this question. Thank you, Corvated, for bringing this up. Thoughts on Angela Davis? She is a fucking badass. Love Angela Davis, pioneer of prison abolition.
Yes.
Took on the U.S. government in court by herself and won.
Oh.
Angela Davis, such a badass.
I did like a huge project on her once.
Thomas, we have a tough question.
If East Berlin was good, why did people flee? Why did black people flee the United States for the USSR? You know,
Because people do what they do with their lives.
Yeah, people do what they do. You know, we don't necessarily have. I mean, and here's the thing: I think if anyone left East Berlin, it would have been considered fleeing by the West. I mean, you know, even if they're like, I want to go live on a fucking beach, you know, they'd be like, oh, that's fleeing. You know, they fled communism because they wanted to live on a beach. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, here, let's. This is from Connor.
Yes.
Didn't even need to pull up the question.
I saw is Nick videos really? Yes. Okay.
What if at the end of it was a civil rights activist? What would you have done?
Oh, well, I probably would have said no.
But,
well, I would have said no, not probably. Nick is just
a douche is an accurate summary.
He is Brett Kavanaugh. He gives off very Brett Kavanaugh vibes to me, which is when I first met him and he started like talking to me. I was like, bad. And then like Brett like I don't know. I just see a very like a comparison. So.
Okay, my God.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. If I have to hear the welfare talking point one more time out of Candace Owens' ass. I'm not even going to respond. Oh, here, I wanted to pull. This is going to be, I think, the last question because we have been running a little longer than I planned. This is the last question. I believe I speak for all of us in this interview when I say it is a resounding yes.
I hate fully grown adults that shit their pants.
Yes.
Both did you know ideologically and IRL. You know?
Did you guys know that she carries? Did you guys know that she carries?
Wait, she like has a gun?
She's like,
dude, it's news to me.
Wait, what?
Like, I found this out the other day. Like, I watched a video, and she had a gun, and it was mind blowing.
Wow.
It was just
nice.
Yeah. So, everyone, I think that will conclude the interview. Unless Ashley, you had anything left.
I don't know. Probably not. I can ask you guys later if a question comes to mind.
Okay. Guys, Ashley Videos, thank you so much for agreeing to do this and doing this interview.
Thank you.
It was a real pleasure. Socialist Type House watchers, join our Discord if you guys want to continue this conversation. Tommy, thank you for doing this interview with me.
Yes, my pleasure.
Yes.
But more importantly, thank you to Ashley.
Oh,
yes, a special thank you to Ashley.
Oh, thanks,
guys. Guys, that will do it for us here at the Socialist Type House. Thank you all for watching. Good night.